Yo, it's been, what, like 4 seconds since we last saw each other?
Yeah, man. It's been a hot minute, man.
It has. Have you eaten the blueberries at the bottom of your crystal glass?
Yes, but now I got new blueberries.
Newberries?
Newberries.
Yeah?
The Newberry Award.
Oh, hey, please make sure you submit your vote to Whiskeylodeon to earn the Newberry Award. We have tried so hard to earn this for years and years and years, and you know, it's we feel like we've earned it. The Newberry Award.
Yeah. We don't have an actual book for them to give us the award on, but we deserve it.
Yeah, but that's because why, Ty? Because all books are digital now. Please order your copy of Newberry Awards coming this fall, 1990,022.
That made sense.
Thank you. Oh my God, you're so validating. I wasn't sure if that was going to land. It doesn't have to land for it to work.
Right.
It just has to work for it to land. My kid is now fast asleep, I can pour myself a glass. But too many shows on Netflix are trash, it makes me wanna pass. I can't figure out what to watch, what am I supposed to do? Let's get drunk and rewatch cartoons when we were little dudes. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do, Whiskeylodeon.
Welcome back, everyone. We're so glad you're here. We are super blessed to have Dr. Leia Charnin here, who is here with us. You're hearing this a week later, but for her, it's been like 30 seconds.
Like 36. I mean, like she had time to read over the regulations and rules of the Newberry Awards. So I would say maybe like a minute or two.
Yeah.
Tops.
And so because this is another episode, we're going to have to read the disclaimer one more time. So
Yeah, Ty's going to do it. It's going to be great. Here it is.
the purpose of this podcast is for educational and marketing purposes only. They are our opinions and not those of a represented employer or institution. We ask that you consult with your provider for any issues you may be experiencing. There are no financial conflicts of interest.
I did pay Ty to say that. Is that a financial conflict of interest?
I'm going to leave that between the two of you to work out.
Oh, betwixt. Oh,
Betwixt.
Leia.
Leia, welcome back.
We haven't told Leia the rule.
You have to say betwixt.
Yeah, there's no in between.
It's betwixt.
It's betwixt.
Now I'm just thinking about Twix.
That's fine.
And are they sponsoring? Maybe that would be a good break.
Twix, if you want to sponsor us, please do. You can get your Twix at
Nah, man, I was a Reese's kid.
Twix.com /
Do they own each other? Probably.
Maybe.
What's the / // Twix.Reese's.
But Leia, thank you so much for staying with us.
Yes,
we're
thanks for
happy
sticking
you're
through
here.
this.
Happy to, friends.
Yeah.
It's been a journey.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I know this is it's a weird podcast, right? Like, but in a good way. We hope that you're having a good time.
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I really feel like time is just kind of like relative and just not even existing when talking to the two of you. So it is an enjoyable experience.
Welcome to the Matrix.
It's like-
Time does not exist.
Yes. That is the exact category for our Newberry Award is non-existent time podcast.
But
award.
I do have to say, I feel super honored to just like be here, hear how the two of you interact with each other, and really dissect these shows. Like I am,
It's fun,
loving
right?
it as an adult. Yeah, right. Because like as a kid, so enjoyed watching these, but of course we didn't catch the depth, and so doing so as an adult, and also just like the timing, how many years later, it's there's a lot of richness to going back right now.
Sure, and I think Nickelodeon has always been a very wonderfully, and when I say rich, I just mean like they have done a great job at diving into their shows and giving it the full support that it needs to be able to have these conversations timelessly.
Yeah. Decades later.
100%. And last week we talked about Rugrats. Weeks before that we talked about Rugrats. And this week, Ty, what are we talking about?
We're talking about Hey Arnold.
And what are we pairing that episode with?
So we are still, because again, this is technically part 2. So it's the same day for us, a week later for you, the Blueberry Kentucky Mule. Again, that is blueberries, ginger beer, lime, and whiskey. Leia, why is that so funny to you?
You're thinking Bluebins?
Bluebins?
I'm thinking Bluebins.
Yeah, she's thinking of Bluebins. So Bluebins is our short term for blueberry, but it's also another thing. What is Bluebin?
My car.
Yeah.
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 Your car is Bluebins?
So I have a very incredibly bright blue car that is a love it or hate it blue. I think industry paint color is called turbo blue. And so when I got it, right, and I was like, I've always named my cars too. And so I was noodling on it, and the name that I landed on is Sean's term for blueberries, and I call my car Bluebin.
It's Bluebin.
I love that so much.
Yeah. And you've seen it.
I have. I like.
Can
she
it
just
be
pulled up.
anything other than Bluebin?
No.
And my roommate has a smaller version of that, and I'm trying to find a good name for it. Maybe we can come up with something because it's the same. It's the same hue.
Bluebinsies?
Yeah.
Hubin.
Well, and people like point out different hues to me of a bright blue, and they'll say, "Oh, it's a Bluebin." I'm like, no, there's one Bluebin.
That's right. There's only one. You watch out.
Yeah. So I apologize. I was not laughing at your description of the Kentucky Mule. It was really just my childish brain going to Bluebins.
Which these are delicious, and you know this is our second 2-parter in a row. Thanks for sticking with us, seriously, because we haven't really edited the last 2-part episode, so we don't really know what anything sounds like up until this point, do we, Ty?
No. We've done the first episode and the first half of the second one of the Let's Get Weird.
Yeah. So when this goes live, we hope you like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of, you're probably already listening to this, but we're going live March 15th.
Are we? Are we committing to that? That's so soon. We're gonna say that on here. That's fine. That's fine. But if they're hearing that, they're like, no shit. It's already been March 15th. So, this is how production goes. We have a schedule and, we stick to it or we don't. But one thing we will stick to is Whiskey and Lodeon. Because that's the network name. It's Lodeon, right?
I mean, it's the show name. Do we have a network now?
Do we? Oh, we're Oprah.
Oh,
We don't have anything to give you, though.
just your love and friendship.
Yeah, we can
That's
give
the
that.
love and friendship.
And this is a fun. I really enjoyed rewatching this episode.
This has to be like my favorite episode of Hey Arnold. Again,
I think so. I really think so.
We're covering Helga on the Couch, and like there is so much there. Like Sean, have you ever been bullied?
I had a few instances of bullying. Like I don't think it ever really traumatized me to a point where I think it shaped my childhood or my adulthood. Like I have some examples that I don't necessarily think are great storytelling, or anything that was like super heavy hitters.
So they weren't
I know
really bullies, just jerks.
Yeah, I think some moments. Yeah, man, for sure, and I I think I'm lucky for that. Like I'm glad I wasn't bullied. What about you, Ty?
So it's quite fortuitous that we have a therapist here, because I kind of had a self-defense mechanism of humor where I would try to be funny no matter who. I got to be funny to whoever you were, because if you were laughing, I was safe. And so I never really had a bully, but oftentimes it's because I was trying to make you like me. So a lot to work through. But it was very interesting, because imagine your bully getting a backstory. And it was really fascinating for me to see this person who has so much to not like, suddenly become more human. Like, that was really cool for therapy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me, this is a way, what you were just speaking to, Ty, of how I can do my job, right? So individuals who, like I used to work with within a VA system, and veterans can sometimes be seen as like angry or hotheads or kind of prickly. And I've loved working with that population, or the harder to kind of emotionally connect to humans, because there's so much backstory. And when we get to know that part of them, it's easier to connect and to have more workable space. And I think you see this a lot in this episode. And I really did enjoy the storyline unfolding.
It was great, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the kind of counter angle to this is a crush, right? Like, and Leia, I think you're probably going to get into some of these defense mechanisms here in a little bit, but did you have a crush, or did you suspect someone had a crush on you as a child?
So I had not so much like this is not going to make me look good. In first grade, I had a girlfriend, and we would hold hands, and it was super sweet.
Wait, y'all did premarital hand-holding?
Yeah, premarital hand-holding.
Well, we are in the South, so...
It meant a lot to her, too. And
yeah.
My best friend at the time was a guy named Muhammad, and he was feeling jealous. I don't know if he was just jealous that someone else had a girlfriend he didn't, or if it was just like, hey, I don't want to lose my friendship with you. But he bribed me. He was like, hey, can I give you a Power Ranger toy, the red one, your favorite one?
Oh,
for you to break up with
the Red Ranger?
The Red Ranger.
Dude, that's... what'd you do? What'd you do?
I took the Ranger and I broke up with her.
I would have done the same thing.
So brutal.
I understand.
First grade, I was a heartbreaker, man.
That's so brutal.
So
her,
the heartbreaker.
Her worth was less than a Power Ranger.
No.
The relationship was worth less than...
Whoever you are now, know that you are worthy. And
yes,
oh,
like I regret that decision. Like it was just.
Do you still have it? The Power Ranger?
No, I mean they don't build toys to last.
This is not the same thing at all, but one of my best friends, Matt, he and I became best friends because he tried to swindle a goddamn Pokemon deal on me, and he said, hey, I will trade you this nice diamond non-holographic card for your nice shiny star holographic card. And I was like, why would I ever do that? And for anyone who's listening right now, if you're listening to this podcast, it's because you grew up in the same time. So hopefully you know what Pokemon cards are and their worth, right? Mm-hmm. You got what was it, like circle, diamond, holographic, right? Holographic is the king. He tried to make me give one of the king cards for one of his peasant cards and said that his peasant card was the rare card. And I was the best man at his wedding last year.
Oh.
So
despite the peasant insults.
Hey, you look like an idiot.
His card was a peasant card. It literally was peasantmon.
So do you think, I got to ask, do you think he realized it was a peasant card and he was trying to swindle you? Or do you think he was just dumb and didn't understand that, no, he didn't have the worth that he needed to give?
So I think Matt is one of the...
It was Matt.
You know him?
I don't know, actually.
You've never met him.
Oh.
The name Matt. Yeah, you're like, oh, it was Matt. Like, yeah, which one?
So much for concealing identity here, but that's cool.
Yeah, no. Well, I didn't say his last name, but he is one. He's a smart dude. Like, he's not. I don't know what got into him at that time because he's not that person. I know what got into him. We were in 6th grade. Gosh, I think I made napalm like a year later.
Yeah, in 6th grade, we were all dumb, man.
I'm concerned.
I mean, I didn't burn anything down except for my shoe. And almost a forest.
Is there another story here, Sean?
I mean, that's really it. We made napalm because someone said, like, hey, I know how to. And I'm absolutely not. You look that up on the internet on your own time. Don't do it. Disclaimer, don't make napalm. Come on. If you're listening to this podcast and making napalm, you have made you've made 2 bad decisions. All right. So don't make napalm and maybe listen to this podcast. But no, I mean, it happens sometimes, right?
This is what's so incredible about being here with you all, because we go from talking about childhood crushes and Hey Arnold to making napalm.
Yeah. And speaking of napalm, in this episode, what happens, Ty?
Helga makes napalm now.
I would watch it. I would
watch it.
I would. Yeah.
Helga is a lot more interesting of a character to me after this episode.
100%. 100%.
And like I look back, it's like, man, if I had therapy as a kid, that would have changed so much.
Sure.
Did y'all have therapy as a kid?
No.
Not as a child, no.
Oh, I did. Yeah. So when I was about 5, my parents separated, and I was having like some anxiety symptoms just with all the adjustments, and I was even having trouble falling asleep. I would kind of make up excuses to get out of bed, like my tummy hurt. And now,
Teddy does that. Like, my tummy hurts. I was like, why? It's like, I don't know.
Exactly, right? I just magically had headaches at bedtime, or I was thirsty, and my mom was very smart and put in a walkie-talkie in my room. So you can try this, and told me that if I needed anything that I could call her on the walkie-talkie, and I wasn't smart enough to figure out I could still just get out of bed. So it actually worked for me, but this all to be said, I clearly showed some stressors and went to a child therapist just for a few sessions. I frankly don't really remember it that well, and I still have sleep issues to this day. So clearly,
it was not effective.
Something went awry, and yet I became a psychologist. But yeah, I did go.
Worth it, right?
Right. Totally.
Hey, it somehow, I mean, everything's a pebble to a stone to a pathway to where you are today.
It was worth it to be able to share that story with you all today. Right?
Thank you for sharing that.
So Helga goes to therapy.
She does.
Yeah.
She's in a couch. She's in a chair. She's around a chair. She's on a floor. That's
It's
the
all
episode.
over, yeah.
That's the title. That's the actual deleted title that you don't see on Paramount Plus. Sponsor us, please.
I just had an image of her under the couch, and she's like just peeking out and saying like peekaboo to anyone who sits on it, which actually does remind me of a childhood story where my brother hid under my bed and then grabbed my ankles as I was trying to get into the bed.
No.
Y'all,
No.
I checked underneath my bed for like the rest of my childhood as long as my brother was at the house because I was so terrified. I would do leaping jumps. Absolutely terrifying.
That's straight up traumatizing.
Absolutely. So yes,
Jesus.
she was under the couch on
in
the
the
bed.
chair of the bed. The
So,
girl across the chair from the window.
Under the bed.
Under the bed. Yeah. So Ty, before we take a little plunge into this episode with Helga as our protagonist, I think we struck some gold this week with our latest sponsor, didn't we?
We did.
Hi, I'm Vince McMuffinstein.
Or am I? Are you finding yourself stuck, maybe in a rut, making all your characters sound like they're from the poor side of England? Then you, sir, need a voice acting coach from an esteemed, less mediocre talent like myself. I'll teach you how to mimic the accent of anyone around the world. And how to get inside their minds so you can bring them to life wherever you are.
So, take your talent to the next level with Vince McMuffinstein.
Or whoever I may be in the future, my lord.
Yum whiskey, yum whiskey, yum whiskey, yum whiskey, yum whiskey, yum whiskey, yum Whiskeylodeon.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We are so glad you're with us. Again, we are covering Hey Arnold, Helga on the Couch, Season 4, Episode 18. So, really, he's already broken down the summary. Helga is recommended for counseling after Mr. Simmons observes her berating Arnold, arguing with her parents, etc. She finally learns that unrequited love is very normal, and she's actually okay.
Oh, okay.
That's the description.
That's the description
yeah.
on Paramount Plus.
Do we
It
feel
is
good about
not-
it?
No.
No, we don't feel good about it. Okay.
Because it's not even like Mr. Simmons observing her. It's actually Dr. Bliss. And on top of that, like, there's just, there's so much. Like I said, like, this is my favorite episode so far in the entire series. And, like, it's just, everything makes so much more sense.
Well, and I think as we develop what Helga has been through in her life, saying everything is okay is just so minimizing of her trauma, essentially, right? And trauma is a big thing that I work with clients. And so that's, to me, I was just conceptualizing it and watching it, and we'll get into that. But so what I really get hooked on in that description is like, everything's okay. And Helga has some really deep wounds, and I just really feel for her in this episode.
When you hear like everything's okay, is that an invalidating statement sometimes? Or what like, maybe that's not the right term, but like, what are you hearing when you hear that?
No, I appreciate that question because it is nuanced. So I think that sometimes we're fact checking and we're realizing like, oh, I am objectively okay or safe or in an environment, but my nervous system is telling me that I'm not. And so if we're using it in a skillful way, then I think that it can be okay or not pejorative or minimizing language. But if we're using it in a way where we're saying, okay, everything's okay, and we're just going to move on, sweep what's really happening under the rug, that minimizes and then really does invalidate and kind of reinforce this idea of, oh, the person who's just said it doesn't really hear me, and there's not truly a connection. So I think it's nuanced in that way.
Sure.
And I do appreciate that she doesn't minimize, Dr. Post doesn't minimize like her actual trauma, but just like, hey, like, it's okay to have this unrequited love. It's okay to not tell him because you're not ready. You can wait until you're ready. And that was freeing for her. But we are hella jumping way ahead.
Helga jumping.
We're Helga jumping.
Way ahead. Way a football head.
So, breakdown. This show was created by Craig Bartlett, who also developed with Steve Vikstein and Joe, I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
You got this, baby.
And Salabra here. But yeah, Craig Bartlett was actually one of the writers for Rugrats.
He was?
Mm-hmm. So he jumped onto this. It was directed by Tuck Tucker, written by Craig Bartlett, story by Craig Bartlett and Steve Vitskin, and music by Jim Lang. And that music, so here's a fun fact about this podcast. The very first episode we did, the pilots, we also tried to do the pilot episode of Hey Arnold.
We did, but we didn't.
So we recorded it.
Yes.
But it turns out that trying to do 3 episodes was just too long. So we actually had to cut it.
Yeah.
But we listened to the theme song, and then we listened to this theme song for season 4, and it was different. It was remixed.
Oh, it was a reprise.
It was a
reprise.
It was a remix that actually started in season 4.
Okay, and then this, what season are we on right now?
We're on
this is
season 4.
Season 4, so this was the...
So we literally jumped in.
Yeah.
And some fun facts. Hey Arnold started as a claymation short on Sesame Street.
Yeah, well, it was... Yeah.
So then on top of that, you have season 1, I don't remember what episode it was, but the episode 24 Hours to Live was originally shown before Nickelodeon's first feature-length film, Harriet the Spy, which was used as the, pitch for the actual cartoon.
And I had such a crush on Harriet as a kid.
Oh my goodness, who did not?
Oh.
He was a sassy woman who was getting shit done.
Yeah. She was a spy.
She was a spy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I had a crush on her, but I definitely wanted to be a spy. I mean, I'm just pretty straight, so that's probably the issue.
Well,
but I
have a crush on Ty, and I'm straight, but I mean...
Touche. You're right. And...
Ty-shay.
Right. And attraction's very much so on a continuum. So, but I just like something about Harriet, not attraction wise. However, I wanted to be a spy 100%.
Yeah.
She made it look so cool. So
What stopped you from becoming a spy?
How do you know I'm not?
Oh, God damn it, Doctor.
Opportunities wasted. Also, last fun fact, Arnold was actually voiced by 4 different people.
That's right. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm loving these facts. Like, I really want to go look up the claymation right now, and that's incredible. Do you notice much voice pitch over time? Or change or tonation?
I have not taken the time to actually view each one individually, just see how they differ. I don't know if this is fact or not. I'll have to look this up, but I'm pretty certain what it was is they actually had a kid, but then he hit puberty and they had to go with someone else. But that sounds like something for a deep dive, and we will do a deep dive episode on a particular show just to kind of learn everything we can about it.
Yeah, we'll put our helmets on. We'll put our bootstraps on. What the fuck is a bootstrap? I mean, I've put boots on before.
I don't know. I
right?
feel like
I know this is so dumb. What the fuck is I mean, it's the strap that goes on the boot, but
is it
why would you put just your bootstraps on? Why don't you say put your boots on? Why do we have to talk about the straps?
Pull it up by the bootstraps, no?
Yeah, you pick yourself up from the bootstraps. We have our producer Kevin, who's back in the control room. Kevin, thank you for looking this up. Kevin, do you want to tell us what a bootstrap is?
So the bootstrap is the loop at the back of the boot used to pull it on.
Thank you, Kevin. Ty, what did you think of Kevin's assessment?
I mean, if that's what he Googled, I want to believe him.
Kevin, what did you think of Ty's response to your assessment?
Thank you for believing me.
Ty, do you believe in him?
I mean, you're now making me question. Should I not believe Kevin?
Ty, Kevin, are you feeling uncomfortable by Ty's response?
I'm more uncomfortable with you trying to question me.
Ty, do you feel comfortable with his questioning of me? Because don't we hire him?
We don't have the money yet, Sean.
Oh, that's fair. Kevin, thank you. Ty, thank Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
Kevin, say thank you to Ty.
I think I should say you're welcome.
Oh, wow. Ty, how do you feel about all that?
Well, you're welcome.
All right. Well, thanks, Kevin.
Go ahead. Say what you want to say,
go for it.
Dr. Leia.
I have to stop dying over here. Watching Ty go in and out of that voice, and then knowing Sean is just like egging it on the whole time. That was a beautiful thing to watch, everyone. And I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed being a part of it.
Well, I don't know what Leia's talking about because as much credit as I want to give to Ty, I mean, Kevin is doing a lot of work over there.
Kevin is doing a lot of work.
We can't take that away from him.
No, we can't.
He's very real.
You know what we also can't take away from is this principal of this school
Yo.
playing with toys.
He really is.
like literally you walk in and he's playing with toy animals. And it's like, how did you get this job? Like Dr. Bliss comes in and he's like, oh, I heard the district had some extra money to give us a school psychologist. And he hides his toys and he opens up and there's so much. There's a yo-yo. I don't know if that's like a toy mouth that like chatters or if that's his dentures. I don't know. But he's got all these toy animals and it's like, if there's anyone who needs therapy, it's you.
Well, we
all need it. We all need it. You're right.
If you don't have those toys in your drawer, are you really living? I don't have the denture. What? Wait, you said there was dentures like clack, clack.
It's a mouth. It's teeth.
Oh yeah, my grandma has some of those.
The dentures of the toy.
Yes, but I love my grandma. And clowns.
Yeah. And so like Dr. Bliss is like, hey, like, I'm going to be evaluating you, and he goes, what? And he goes, I'm just kidding. I'm here for the kids. And like he's so this is not the first time. It's not the first time that the adults are really uncomfortable around her.
Yeah,
and it's kind of glorious, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you have people get uncomfortable because they think you're analyzing them just in a normal conversation?
Oh, absolutely. It's a very frequent question to receive, right? Like, oh, are you analyzing me right now? Or almost a joke to kind of diffuse, because at times, we were speaking about defenses and we put up and present in a certain way that we want to be perceived. And so I present a type of threat that I'm seeing through those defenses, that I am seeing the things that individuals don't necessarily want to be seen. That's really vulnerable. So absolutely. And I do have to say, I have toys in my desk, but I enjoy playing with them. And so, right. So I think we could see that scene in a couple of different ways. You could see it as like, and I think this is what they probably intended, but like this regression, he has this like kind of childlike going back to a place of safety, or something is being triggered for him. But at the same time, if you have fun playing with toys, you have fun playing with toys, right? And so
he definitely was triggered,
right?
like literally, he's like welcoming her to the school. She goes, "Thank you." He goes, "What do you mean by that?"
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. Like.
Can we also talk about her name for a second?
Yes.
Right?
Please
because
do.
There's this pre-assumed kind of idea that someone who's a therapist is going to bring joy or bliss to one's life, right? And individuals will sometimes come to me and they'll say, I don't want to feel unhappy anymore. And so my response is like, well, we are an array of emotional experiences. And so is it going to be that we're never going to feel anxious, we're never going to feel sad or unhappy again? I can't promise that. Can we reduce the intensity of it? Can we add new skills and understanding for why we feel those emotions? Absolutely. We can do that part. It's just so interesting that with the name, there's this assumption of like, you're a therapist. You're going to make me happy. And right. And that's.
But
in and of
everyone else
itself.
seems to be super uncomfortable around him. Like literally, she goes into Mr. Simmons' class. Like she first walks out of the principal's office and immediately spots Helga just shoving people around, just like, get out of my way. And she's like, you seem interesting. And starts taking notes. And she walks into Mr. Simmons' class. Mr. Simmons was like, hey, guys, we have the school psychologist. Like, does the whole parentheses. Like, I don't know if he's trying to mitigate her, but he's also really uncomfortable around her. And looking up, like, Mr. Simmons is portrayed as gay, but it's never, like, outed. And so I'm wondering if he was trying to deflect because he was afraid, like, she would, like, call him out on that.
And it could just be that kind of adult front, you know, like I think, like you brought up earlier, like adults are just putting on a front where they're intimidated by talking about their feelings. It's because the show is about kids, right?
Yeah.
So I think maybe as the viewer, that's a good vessel for us to want to empathize with the actual protagonist of the show.
Mm-hmm. But he's absolutely still nervous. Like she's sitting there, like he's
But
like
he's a nervous guy.
Oh, like
and
he's-
Mr. Simmons is just fucking nervous.
like
That's-
he Mina's like you're observing
anxious.
just the students, right? And she goes, sure.
Yeah.
Like this, like she plays into that. She's like, if they're gonna be
Yeah.
worried, I'm gonna fuck with them.
Yeah,
Like it's very much she's playing into their insecurity, and I like on a badass level, I appreciate that.
sure.
But I feel like if I was also nervous around someone and they were teasing me about it, I'd be like even more insecure.
Right.
But yeah.
I mean,
So she's sitting there watching, and she's only really looking at Helga, really. She sees Helga blowing like spitballs, which apparently, like this was like 57 spitballs.
right, we counted. Or she said it.
Yeah,
she
like
said
Dr.
that.
Bliss like
So
calls it
we
out.
did the math.
And if she's doing it, if it's a normal middle school 50-minute class, that's 1.14 spitballs per minute.
Right. Impressive.
Did y'all ever throw a spitball? Like that's not something I think did.
No.
No.
The most
Okay.
I would do is I would take the straw, take off the tip, and I would blow the rest of the straw covering.
I did that.
But that just to be fun. I would never do spitballs because that's just
We didn't do okay.
So
I didn't do
gross.
spitballs, but I took the mechanical pencil, and you could get a rubber band, and you could. I think what I remember is you could like shoot the lead out of the pencil,
what?
but it didn't really hurt. It was just like you could take a pencil and take a rubber band around this mechanical pencil, and you could fling either like a paper ball or I can't remember. It was like 77 years ago.
Is this a Canada thing?
It's sorry. It could be, but no. So Ty thinks I went to school in Canada. He doesn't, but he thinks I did. I didn't go to school in Canada. I wish I did. I probably would have a lot more to contribute to these conversations because they have free healthcare, and I could have capitalized on free healthcare and free, probably, psychology and therapy. But here we are in America, and the only therapy we get is Hey Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I appreciate that more schools have school psychologists or school counselors available. However, there's just not enough for students, right?
Right.
And so it's like one or two. And so that's a whole soapbox I don't need to get on right now. But speaking of, sorry, we've really gone full circle. I'm going to stop.
No, you're
No, keep going.
You are totally
keep going.
fine.
Keep going. It's okay. Like we, our first podcast, we thought like talking in circles was bad, and then we just did it, and then it
felt great.
evolved. Yeah.
Well, feel free to cut when I started questioning myself and then.
Oh no, I want to
leave
leave
it.
all of this in here. It's way more fun. It's yeah, like some stuff. Like yeah, listener, you are gonna hear some stuff that's uncut, and and they're gonna hear some stuff that's cut, but you're also gonna hear some stuff that's not cut.
But
that
you will
is-
know which is which.
But you won't know what is what.
I also think it's a really interesting phenomenon. Like, okay, so if we're going to keep that in, right? What just happened for me was I perceived myself as rambling
Mm-hmm.
and not concise, right? And so if there's this like expectation of self of I'm here and I have to be concise, and like what we were speaking to in our very first episode or what happened last week, right? And it's like, oh, well, what do individuals perceive as interesting, want to hear? And that's kind of some of my pleasing response that we were speaking about earlier, defense mechanisms. And so I wasn't really bullied as a youth, and I'm fortunate to say that. But I also, I think, really leaned into creating myself in a likable, friendly kind of persona, where I've always stated like I was a bit of a social chameleon. I was a band nerd, but I could also kind of hang out with more popular kids. I didn't really feel like I was one of them necessarily, but that was just kind of one of my ways to be kind to everyone, ingratiate, and feel safe in that way. So just this kind of all circles back to, I think, perceptions of self. And sometimes what I want to give is what I'm trying to respond to what I think the listener or other individuals think is interesting. So I just want to own what I think just happened for me, because when we talk about those like mechanisms, what's happening for us in real time, sometimes our anxieties come out in very different ways, and just kind of want to talk about that in an honest way too.
I mean, you got Helga who like has a cheese voodoo doll of Arnold in her book.
Oh yeah. Well, wait. So she has multiple voodoo dolls because she has a shrine. There's a whole shrine. There's a whole shrine, and then it was a cheese voodoo doll.
It was a little cheese voodoo doll. Like I totally get where like
that's a lot,
manifest these different things in different ways. I get it. That's not me, but I get it. So
you don't have a cheese voodoo doll of anyone in your life?
No, because I like making pasta, so like I like to grate that cheese, and it would not last as a voodoo doll.
I would just eat the cheese. Yeah.
Yeah. What about your baby? He's got a little voodoo. Not like you're gonna like
grate my baby. Is that how you think baby oil is made?
I don't love the phonetic sentence of grating one's baby. But yeah, I guess that was the question I was asking. So that's a fair response, Ty. And I can tell Ty was like, dude, we're not going to explore this subject any longer.
No.
So
because we got to get to the class is now over.
The class is over,
and Helga is basically going to walk her. She tells Phoebe, "Hey, go save my Foursquare spot, and if Harold tries to give you shit, tell him I'll knock him out."
Verbatim, all of that. If Harold gives you any shit, I'll fucking break his teeth.
Yeah,
she says that. She said, I can't believe that aired on Nickelodeon.
On Nickelodeon. Yeah. And that's
shit
when
and fuck.
And that's when Brainy, of course, is over her breathing because she's fawning over Arnold, and then he's right there. Brainy's there's like really creepy breathing, and of course she sucker punches him in the face.
It's always that right angle L.
Yeah,
just
that right angle
L. Yep.
And she gets called to the office, and this principal, oh my goodness, this principal says you're going to be going to therapy to be soundly punished for blatantly unsolicited acts of juvenile delinquency. That phrase was a lot.
Leia, do you want to unpack that phrase a little bit?
I think I just short-circuited, so
I did
give
too.
me a moment.
Yeah.
Well, there's just so much. I think at the core of it, not really understanding therapy or child behavior, right? So not understanding why we would refer to therapy. It's not a punishment. Mm-hmm. It's to help someone move through whatever the emotional pains are that is then resulting in the behavior that you're seeing. And unfortunately, this behavior is hurting another child. But we're trying to unpack that so Helga is not inflicting that pain in others, right? The language is just so pejorative and judgmental.
But that's the principle.
Yes.
And I love that Dr. Bliss takes control. And it's like, I'll take control. And of course, he goes back to playing with his toys in front of Helga and Dr. Bliss.
Well, and earlier we missed, I think the principal had even said, well, like there are no issues here at the school. Like he's completely surprised by what has occurred, which again shows how disconnected he is from the reality that's happening.
I think he needs his own backstory.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably... Is there an episode with his backstory?
I don't know. We'll have to look.
I don't know. We'll look.
But yeah, Dr. Bliss takes control, and Helga stays cold-faced, like, I'm not going to listen to anything you say until the doctor says, hey, like, we're going to try and uncover emotions you may be hiding. And that makes Helga nervous. That almost like unwinds her right there, just right on the spot of not wanting something to be discovered. And she's walking home, and she ends up bumping into a stand of lemons, and all these lemons fall down and turn into Arnold heads.
It's a little horrific.
It is a little horrific. Like this kind of like Gremlin vibes.
Oh, yeah.
What does it mean that I think it's a little adorable, actually?
It's adorable but creepy.
Okay, adorably creepy.
And
Adorable-rific.
Adorable-rific. I like that.
I think it can be adorable and creepy. It's like, oh, look at that sweet little kid. Oh, in the cornfield with the knife. You know? Adorable-rific.
And of course, she gets home and her dad's finding out about this therapy thing and he is mad. Like, immediately he's like, this better not cost me anything. Like, this is ridiculous.
Because his goddamn beeper business is failing.
Yeah?
Is that his business?
Oh, yeah.
He's the
Bob's
Beeper King.
Beepers. Yeah, he's the beeper king.
Wow. Well, that's an unfortunate timing for him with the invention of the cell phone.
he didn't time that quite right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you just... already, you see how awful the parents are. I mean, you got the dad who's just
Ty, I
sitting
can
there.
tell you're upset. Like, talk to me about your feelings about these parents.
Because here is a dad who is completely invalidating her. It's like, literally, he's like, oh, don't say anything. Don't give us away. We don't want to go to the funny bin. Like, he's very much that. And then you have the mom who's emotionally absent because she keeps drinking smoothies, which I'm pretty certain are filled with alcohol.
We're going to put those in quotes, right? Smoothies.
Filled
In
with
quotes.
alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Smoothies.
So, like, literally, I do like the switch of how it's now the mom who's emotionally absent versus the stereotypical dad emotionally absent. But it's still like, man. And they're like, this never would have happened with Olga. And it's like, you kept shitting on your daughter for not meeting the expectation of this oldest daughter that you have, that you've already put in a pedestal, and she's going to crash and burn at some point.
And Ty, if I may jump in, right, can we break down what emotionally absent means? Because I also see dad as emotionally absent.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So it's I think both of them, but it's manifesting in really different ways. Mom is just kind of like checked out, not really engaging. Dad is doing it in this way where he's saying, okay, I'm not going to see like my child and both of them really in terms of like the full continuum of who my children are, the ways in which they're struggling, or sitting down to really get to know them. I'm going to respond with a type of maybe like power or expectations because of whatever that is internally for him. We could break down any of these characters, right? But I think emotionally available really means I am here to listen, to be with you and validate and see you. And neither of the parents really can demonstrate that for whatever the reasons are.
So emotional availability can show up in multiple ways is kind of what you're saying.
I think so.
Yeah. Even though like on the surface it may feel like one thing, it's a spectrum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great descriptor of Helga's parents. I mean, so she walks in, like what happens after she kind of has this first interaction with them, Ty?
She immediately was like, I'm not going to say anything. She kind of blows them off. Like she's had it with their shit. And she goes to her room. It's nighttime. And she opens her closet door. But it's not a closet door. It's the door to her shrine of Arnold.
The shrine door.
The shrine door.
Welcome to the Shrine Door, where you will get all your shrines at discount price. Please vote for us for the Newberry Awards.
I have to say, I'm like, yes, the shrine is disturbing. However, it's actually really impressively done.
It's very
It is
impressive.
very impressive.
It is.
You know
it's
what
well lit.
You know what vibes it gives me?
Creepily,
Because
but,
it's got those Christmas lights. It gives me the first season of Stranger Things vibe.
Oh.
So you got like this tribal music going on. You got these lights that I'm thinking is going to start blinking in like alphabetical order to try and spell some message of I love Arnold.
Okay, so her shrine and those lights, this could very well be the prequel to Stranger Things, right?
I can believe it.
And then we've already established that Westworld comes after Rugrats.
Yeah.
Right. So Nickelodeon is the official. I know Leia's wincing in pain over here over non-descriptors. If you'll have to listen to previous episodes, but yeah, Stu's Basement really gives way to the Westworld.
Yeah, if it's
vibes.
not Westworld, it's Saw. Like it's very
Yeah.
much a
Yeah.
creepy robotic Saw.
Yeah, Nickelodeon is the Beatles of television. Fair?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So Helga, she's having a time.
Yeah. So you also have a little tiki model that has this headpiece of Arnold. She puts on tribal marks with lipstick. She puts on this headpiece and she is praying to the Arnold shrine, confessing her love. And she stands up, gets wrapped up in the cords of her lights, and trips and falls and makes a racket. Her parents open the door and see her in garb. I was like, what are you doing? Nothing. I'm getting ready for bed. Of course, getting defensive. But then, yeah, they closed the door and there was so much judgment. He goes, oh, what a nut job. And the mom's like, oh, I need a smoothie.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's drunk.
Yeah. Which we can't judge. We are doing the same thing here.
But we're not emotionally ignoring someone.
Ty, if I went to get another smoothie right now, would you judge me?
No, not at all.
Excellent.
Smooth sounds pretty good to me.
It does
right now,
sound pretty
honestly,
good.
so.
I might get another whiskey smoothie.
I will say it makes me a little sad to, like, the parents have so many missed opportunities with Helga, including this moment. And you could really see, like, the headdress and garb. And yes, it would look strange, but, like, that could really be an opportunity to sit down and be like, hey, Helga, what's going on for you? Right? As opposed to dismissing and judging. And does it look bizarre? Sure. However, it's what else is going on for her. And it's just a sad missed opportunity. And I think that fantasy that Helga's in is so strong because she's really had to escape some life experiences that were just so painful for her. And so it's a very strong fantasy that she's created.
Absolutely.
Sure. A missed opportunity in Helga's life, but a great opportunity to carry on the narrative of a TV show.
That's fair. You know what? Helga having her own show would be...
Well, listen, like in school, and I was taught like bad for life, good for drama, right? I mean, like it's true though. Like, I mean, you don't want, if we don't have any conflict, we don't have a conversation to talk about in pop culture.
Agreed. Yeah.
In terms of writing or, yeah, okay, I could see that.
All right. So Helga goes to the office and she is in disguise.
I'm laughing, Ty, because Ziggy Sebastius is in studio with us today, as you all have all suspected. And I meant to comment on what Ty was just saying, but Ziggy hit the corner of the mic and it turned it perfectly like perpendicular to me. So basically it just sounded like I was way over here, and that's fine because we're back. And Ziggy knows what he's doing. He's a sentient, majestic creature of the land.
He is just needing attention and affection, and he deserves it because he is a lovable good boy.
He is. Speaking of good boys, that shrine. What a good boy that shrine is.
But yeah, so she's now heading to the therapist's office, and she's in disguise. She's wearing a trench coat and a hat, and she's trying to hide.
She is.
She is ashamed of going to the therapist's office, and Phoebe immediately recognizes her.
Not a second. Goes by.
Yeah. Just be like, hey.
Nothing goes over her head.
Are you scared? Because it's really destigmatized. It's actually totally okay. A lot of people go to therapy. It doesn't help. And so she goes in the office.
Leia, do you love Phoebe? Isn't she the best?
She's wonderful.
Like, come on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And is she carrying a cello? She's carrying a
Probably.
huge instrument. It's like 3 times
Most
her
likely.
size.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she gets to the therapist's office and immediately starts asking all these questions. Just very much, how many books have you read? Have you written any books? What do you think of this painting? And they actually talk about this painting by Edward Hopper, which is a real artist. Did the whole Nighthawk painting where it has like those people, it's kind of on the outside of a diner and you have the people on the inside. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So they're literally talking about the whole thing. I was like, I don't know what his deal with women is. And like, apparently that's something I need to look up too. But yeah, just getting really in depth. And the therapist is like, wow, you are really like intuitive. Like you are talking about things that most people don't your age.
Did you both watch Good Will Hunting?
Yes.
I mean, like the connection with a painting, that's an interesting theme, right?
That is an amazing connection,
I
Sean.
love that. Yeah.
And the therapist doesn't like miss a beat. Just answers all her questions.
Yeah.
And it even gets to a point where she's like, look, it sounds like you're asking me a lot of questions. And Helga is defensive. You got a problem with that? She goes, no. Do you want to sit up here while I sit down?
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that part where the therapist isn't necessarily saying, hey, we have to have rules here.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think at some point, like the therapist would say, okay, here's a boundary, but none of this is necessarily outside of the limits. Whereas if you want to move in session, I've had clients sit on the floor before. Like there's a lot of freedom and choice. And I love that the therapist is willing to essentially change what we've otherwise deemed as the therapy couch and chair.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have to have rules. So that was really cool that she's just kind of rolling with wherever Helga is.
Yeah, and then like just answering her questions nonchalantly. Helga finds out that this teacher or this doctor loved jump rope. She goes, well, "What rhymes did you know?"
And then we go into it. Yeah.
Harbor Street, and they both start jumping, and that's the happiest I've ever seen Helga. Just jumping, singing this rhyme with the doctor, and just they're having the time of their lives.
I found myself smiling ear to ear during a lot of moments of this episode. It's like I think Ty, you said this at the beginning. Like I agree with you on this. This is one of my favorite episodes of Hey Arnold.
Mm-hmm. I also love that the therapist is going back to her childhood, essentially, and engaging in play and games. And that's something that's really, really important, that we lean into kind of play and our inner child. And have you ever noticed like how much joy it gives us? Like, I actually am someone who, my neighborhood has a lot of sidewalk chalk hopscotch, right, written on sidewalks. I'm still gonna jump it every time, and if I'm by myself walking my dog, like it brings joy. And society sometimes puts these restraints on adults of like, be more serious, and
you can't be happy,
right? So I love that the therapist is kind of connecting with that part of herself too.
And that's when Helga first opens up, and I think she mislabels it, because she basically talks about her sister Olga, and it seems like she's mad at her sister for being so perfect. But I think it's misplaced, and it's like she's kind of like not directing at her parents for being as awful as they were.
I agree.
And so literally she's remembering this memory with her sister and her family, and it's like a sitcom with the daughter so perfect. It's like, oh, would anyone like some coffee? Only if you made it, darling. And it's just like...
Is there a laugh track?
There was a laugh track.
There was a laugh track.
There was a laugh track. Like, it was absolutely a sitcom-esque. And then Helga comes in and goes, hey, who's got my lunch? And it's like, oh, I'll figure it out. Sorry, honey.
I forgot about this, dude.
I was drinking a smoothie and I forgot. And
like, you know how it goes. I was chugging my smoothies with the boys at the smoothie bar. And next thing you know, I was all smoothied out. And I spilled some smoothie on my smoothie, but then I drank that smoothie, and I got all smoothie in my smoothie body.
But yeah, so, I mean, she's remembering her mom doing, like, all these shitty things, forgetting her winter coat, and the mom's like, oh, it's not supposed to be below freezing all day, and it's like, she literally has to pack her own lunch, and she has a can of beans and a spoon. That's her lunch.
How is she going to open the can of beans with her spoon?
She's going to pummel like she would Harold.
Yeah, she's strong. Fair.
And it's like, all of them, like, she's sitting there, and Helga finally tries to leave. She says, well, that seems like I've talked enough, and tries to leave. And that's when the therapist pulls out the guns. She's like, oh, well, we haven't even talked about Arnold. And she immediately is like, what are we talking about Arnold? I don't like Arnold. Why are you talking about Arnold? And she goes, got him. Like, immediately, like, now Helga has to come in because now she's afraid her secret's going to come out. And it's this beautiful moment where she's sitting there, like, trying to deny everything. And then the therapist's like, all right, we don't have to talk about Arnold. She goes, oh, thank goodness. She pulls out the ink block test. And every single ink
Which
block
is called a...
Rorschach.
And before we go further, can you describe a Rorschach test?
Yeah, absolutely. So many people have probably seen these ink blocks, right? So they are typically a white page, black image. Sometimes they do have color. This is what we call a projective test or assessment. And so the idea is that what is in our subconscious, or maybe not at the forefront of our mind, gets projected onto these images. And so we see kind of the first thing that might have emotional content, or if it has neutral content. There's a lot of really specific scoring behind this test, actually. But this is a projective measure called the Rorschach that was pretty popular in assessments and sometimes still can be. Actually does have some validity to it, even though we see it as like, oh, this looks kind of silly or subjective. In some ways it is, but that is the test that is shown in the episode.
Well, they go from that, and of course, Helga's like, these are ridiculous, throws them out the door, like throws them out the window, just throws them out into the street, and they go to word association, and again, like, she's getting tripped up. Oh, what do you associate with football? Football, and
I love that part, honestly, the word association, yeah.
And it's like, she keeps, like, just coming across them, and then you find out, like, you have this memory that she pulls up where she's mad at her parents. Mom was asleep on the couch, lunchbox that's in the oven has crackers, moist toilettes, and shaving cream.
Yeah.
And that's when she realized, oh no, I switched the lunch boxes, and you found out the dad was trying to shave with Cheese Whiz.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, though, I mean, if you haven't tried shaving cream on your crackers, are you really living? I mean, listen, I have tried dog treats before. I don't
You
know.
had Scooby Snacks?
Well, okay, remember how I told you, like, I did have Scooby Snacks. And then I think I told you about, like, shaving cream and, like, desks, like how we used to clean them.
Yeah.
What question did you ask me, Ty?
Is that a Canada
Is that a
thing?
Canada thing? So I'm starting to wonder, like, maybe the answer to all these questions is yes. And what happens after Helga has this little word association game?
So she ends up talking about this memory in preschool.
Dude.
Her little voice.
This
Oh
was
my
so
God.
like this hurt.
Whose heart just felt all the things after this? Or
Me.
during it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comment below. Like, just let us know.
Yeah, we want to hear everything that you felt because, like, I don't remember this as a kid. Do you?
No.
Like, I don't remember watching this as a kid. I'm sure we did, but
But yeah, so you have the parents fawning over Olga, and Helga is like, "Who's gonna take me to preschool?" And like, in a minute, and like, but ignore her. And she's like, "Fine, I want to go to preschool." She's literally being independent because no one's gonna take care of her, and she ends up leaving because I'm going to daycare, and no one says anything. No one acknowledges her. And she ends up walking, gets like mud splashed on her. A dog steals her lunchbox. And like no one's acknowledging her until Arnold. Baby Arnold comes up and goes, "Hey, I like your bow. It's pink like your pants." And it was the first time someone acknowledged her. First time someone saw her. And immediately, like, feeling that love just changed. Changed everything for her. But that change was being conflicted because you had douche nozzles like Harold and all these other kids who were making fun of her. Like, Harold stole her crackers. And then, like, Arnold...
and her shaving cream.
And her shaving... No, that was a dog.
I'm just saying.
Harold would.
He
You're right.
metaphorically stole her dip for her
Crackers.
crackers. Was that the symbol?
The
We have
symbolism is
so
crazy,
in the
man.
studio we have a drum set here, and I thought, here's the craziest part about this. I thought I heard a garage door opening below me, and I'm like, oh, I guess Dennis is home, and I'm like, I don't have a garage.
My elbow accidentally hit the
That's cool.
symbol.
We're on a budget here at Whiskeylodeon. We ask you to donate to our Patreon. We have lots of fun things in there for us, and hey, those fun things for us are really for you. I think Ty can speak to that a little bit more than I can.
Absolutely. But we'll say that to the end because, like, this is getting so good now.
It's organic, man. I said it. I said what I said.
You said what you said. You're right.
Yes, and baby.
Clearly, I was just trying to move away from the emotional discomfort of Helga's story,
Right,
and created a
It's
distraction.
too much for us. Yeah.
No, actually, there's a lot I do want to add, but Ty,
Yeah.
I do want to hear what else you're going to add. I have a lot of thoughts going on.
So yes. So Helga has her cracker stolen, and then Arnold offers her more crackers. And like, hey, you can have mine. And that act of kindness just makes her heart flutter. And because of that, all the other kids start making fun of her. And she looks at Arnold and she has to make a decision. Does she keep enjoying the kindness that Arnold has given her? Or does she put up a defensive barrier to protect herself? And she goes to protect herself.
Yeah. This was the true heartbreak, right?
She ends up knocking him to the ground, and she's going to beat him with Old Betsy and the Five Avengers, which is, if that's not a band name, that needs to be a band name. Old Betsy and the Five Avengers.
Which Avenger did she exclude?
Hawkeye.
Absolutely.
It was such a quick response,
Yeah,
like
he
not
nailed
even
it.
thinking about it.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one you exclude. Nothing against archers out there. Like, keep doing your thing.
But she absolutely had the Black Widow.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, you nailed it. That
And
was the
so-
right answer, man.
So she keeps like being the bully. She keeps like demanding the respect of like, you need to fear me. Like, you need to do your painting or I'm going to put the paint on you. And then she hides in a trash can and pulls out a picture of Arnold. And I want to know, how the fuck did she get a picture of Arnold in preschool? And this is also the first instance where we
I have
meet...
a theory.
Well, let me finish this and then you can hear your theory.
Okay.
This is where we first meet Brainy. He is hovering over the trash can, breathing. and this is the first time she sucker punches him. And he seems to like it. I think he might have a kink. But yeah, go ahead. You wanted to say something.
Oh, no, the moment's way gone. My theory was that the creators and the illustrators decided to draw a picture and then put it in the character's hand.
Okay.
And that's why it's there, because they drew it.
So that's how a cartoon works.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you, Doctor.
Just in case
Yeah.
our listeners didn't
Those
know.
are
I'm more of in the
analysis.
moment thing.
Right,
If you
right.
ask me to come back to something, it's not going to ever hit as home. So, like, if I say something and, like, this isn't for the podcast, this is in general, and they're like, hold on, let me come back to that. Oh, it's never going to hit home. I'm going to be like, oh, yeah. And then I went to the grocery store and it's crazy. You wouldn't believe this. I needed change for a 20 and they did it. And you'll be like, what the fuck is he talking about? Much like Leia's face right now. Yeah, like the stories don't get better over time. They just dwindle. So I am a spark. It will just be put out with water, which is the present and the future.
Sean, I adore your stories and I adore your spark. Don't ever let it be put out.
In water of the future
That's right.
present.
So I love water, but just don't be my water. It's fine. So she's in this trash can.
Sorry.
She's in this trash can, right?
No,
Yeah, but that's where she is.
I just thought of like nobody put baby in the trash can. Like,
Yeah, you should put them in the dumpster, because then dumpster baby sounds better, but you don't want to say trash can baby.
I'm feeling some guilt right now because like some people
Why?
have actually. Never mind. I'm gonna go too dark. Like
Did
some
you-
people have actually. That's so heartbreaking. Those stories of like babies or puppies or like being found in dumpsters. So now I'm feeling really bad and sad, and I took it really dark. Sorry.
Well, yeah, but you had opportunities to evade that left and right. We didn't force you to say anything about puppies. Babies, sure. Fine. Fine. We did not talk about puppies yet. They should be in baskets.
You added that.
Yeah, that was you.
This is like compassion, empathy, heart that just
Yeah.
started screaming. Sorry.
It's good.
Okay.
We can unpack it.
It's okay. We're digressing.
So there's a puppy in the trash can who has a picture of Helga, who is also actually Helga in the trash can, who has a picture of Arnold. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that sounds about
Westworld.
right.
Perfect.
So, Dr. Leia Charnin, you said you wanted to break this down. Let's hear what you have to say.
Beautiful.
I'm sorry. My thought was that after my last edition in such a dark turn that maybe I should just take a break. But okay, I am going to break it down a little bit. There is a defense mechanism, kind of old school, but it's called reaction formation. It's one we don't talk too much about, but essentially it's this idea of we have an exaggerated emotion that is actually opposite of what we're feeling to mask what we're feeling. That's what we're seeing, I think, with Helga, that she's decided, oh, wow, well, if I act more aggressive and don't pretend like I like Arnold, it is an extreme opposite emotional response, but that protects me, right? So I just kind of wanted to put some language to what we're seeing here, that there is a construct of I'm putting my guard up so much, called reaction formation. The more in-depth thing that I wanted to say was related to attachment theory. I've kind of been alluding to it much throughout both podcasts, but attachment theory, going back to what our primary caregivers are, how they're attuning to our emotions, and the ways in which for Helga, this is really neglect that she's experiencing from her parents, right? And I don't use that term lightly, but they're not even feeding her really appropriately. They're not taking her to school, and she is now in an unsafe situation. So this is truly a traumatic experience in which she's also having a lot of attachment trauma, developmental trauma. And so this would be a case where over time we would expect someone to have really a lot of difficulty perhaps with making secure relationships, with feeling safe and secure in the world, with feeling incredibly independent because she's learned I'm the only person that I can rely on. It's just, I don't want to be at all light about what's happening with her family and that trauma that is truly, truly happening for her. And it's such a dismissive parental tone that's occurring, and there's a lot more that I could go into for attachment theory, but I think it's just such an important process as we see her becoming more and more independent and guarded and isolating others or being aggressive to others. There's a lot of trauma, and that's I think why we're all feeling so much toward Helga. And I could only imagine even like that disgust that listeners are probably even feeling when they're watching the parents and the family dynamics that are occurring.
I really liked how Dr. Bliss calls that out. She goes, "You seem really angry at Arnold." And she gets defensive. She's like, "I'm not mad at Arnold." I was like, you give him a lot of negative attention. Like, that's, even for a negative feeling, that's a lot of attention. And like immediately, like she's like shutting down. She's like, "No, I'm not. Stop talking to me." And she goes, "Look, anything you say to me is going to be confidential." And that changes the game. Immediately Helga's like, "Wait, you can't tell anyone? You won't?" And like literally the weirdest one was like, so if someone put your head in a cage with a starved rabid rat, you wouldn't say anything. Deborah's like, "Nope." And that's when she cracks. She confesses she loves Arnold. She wants to have this life and travel the world. And it's like, it is quite the confession. Like hearing that, like that she takes used gum of his to make sculptures of Arnold. And then we told, "Hey, it's okay. It's normal." And she goes, "Wait, are you using used gum?" She goes, "Yeah. Yeah, it's fine." Like I love that moment where I was like, "Wait, did you say used gum?" But yeah, she validates, look, it's okay to be in love with someone. You need to tell him at some point, but if you're not ready, it's okay. And that freedom right there, like there's so much she has to unpack, but to have that hope that, I'm not as broken as I thought I was. Like that, my goodness, man. Doing therapy myself, that was healing for me on a different level.
Absolutely, man. I remember just walking away from this episode like, okay, I can't, like, we like to rewatch stuff I think twice at least for this podcast, but I was like, I can't do it right now. I'm feeling so many things. And it really just I don't want to say validates, but it definitely allows us to kind of see all the episodes we've seen up until this point about Helga and how she kind of got to where she is, and it's equal parts heartbreaking and enlightening, and I'm just really happy that we're talking about this right now, because I think more than ever, like, mental health is something that needs to be discussed in the world. And I'm glad that we have, I think, as a society, got to a place where we can give passage to that a little bit more.
I really like the ending here, because what happens is you get her, she gets off the bus, she's feeling free, she grabs a random stranger, "This is the new me," and the stranger looks at her like she's on meth. Like, Toya's like, "Why are you talking to me?" But she literally runs into Arnold and just calls him a football head, "Watch where you're going," just is rude to him. But she walks away from that like, "Oh my goodness, that idiot doesn't know how much I love him." And then you get Brainy, again, breathing, and she calls him. I was like, "Look, dude, this is really creepy. Were you waiting here for me?" Like, "Look, I'm not going to punch you in the face. I'm feeling good. But next time, it's going to happen." Like, she gives him that fair warning. And it's like, man, does Brainy have this unrequited love for Helga like Helga has this unrequited love for Arnold? But yeah, she walks by the lemons. The lemons all turn to Arnold's head. They go, "Hey, Helga, looking great today." And she just turns around and winks at them and points the finger gun. And that's the end, man.
That is the only moment I can ever accept a finger gun.
You know what? I can concur to that.
Yeah.
But like literally the world around her isn't changing. And she's even remaining the same as far as her reaction to other people. But she feels better because she now understands.
The world doesn't have to change if your perspective does.
But the perspective does change everything.
That's what I mean. The world stays the same, and her perspective is the thing that shifts. Wait, we have a psychologist here. What the? Why are we talking so much? Leia, like, just seriously, just.
I'm along for the ride. You are talking about, right, what comes first, the chicken and the egg, and I agree largely, right? Perspective is a lot. If one comes to therapy is processing this history, we are looking at our worldview, at our defenses, the ways in which we value responding. And I think that's a big piece, right? It is some cognitive restructuring. At the same time, it's also what's happening within like this kind of subconscious, our bodies remember tension. And it's really striking because I think about even for Helga, like her body is saying like, I am so angry and need to hide, and I'm going to enact it in a physical way, and it's super automatic. But then when she has freedom, she has an ease of release of tension. She doesn't even need to necessarily respond with a bite or respond with physical aggression. And so it's not only just what we're thinking and perspective shift, but it's also what's happening for us, like in a nervous system response, in a way that also, how do we value responding in the world? And so saying that we have freedom and choice is a very empowering thing. And for Helga to have the experience where she's heard and she's told that she can be exactly who she is and doesn't need to hide it, and it's not rejected, so changes her experience. And it's a really beautiful thing to see.
And this, I will say it again. This is one of my favorite episodes of Hey Arnold, but just in Nickelodeon in general, this is a really solid episode.
So good.
And for it to be so early, like, I mean, I think we have seen a surge of television shows and movies that do a really good job with at least exploring mental health now. I mean, we're recording this in 2022. This came out in 1998. Am I off? Maybe off by a little bit?
I think like 96 or 94.
Yeah, I mean, fact check me on that. But I don't think we saw a lot that in pop culture that really explored that, did we?
Agreed. No, I absolutely. And that they're reinforcing the value of talking about how we're feeling when it is in a safe relationship. And Helga kind of had to test those boundaries with Dr. Bliss, right? And then when she realized it was safe, she could open up. I think the other piece is that child mental health is highlighted. And sometimes, I think one of the recommendations is really get a youth in as early as possible. Don't write it out. Don't see, hey, is this going to get better for this kiddo? If something is occurring where you're seeing behavioral concerns, or you're seeing there's an emotional kind of restriction in some way, or just if you're curious, because the earlier interventions help for long-term prediction and help for the individual to develop. And so I love that they're actually also getting here at child mental health is important. And that's also really, I think, advanced perspective considering when this was released.
So Kevin has given us our notes. Go ahead, Kevin.
So, Hey Arnold came out in 1996, but the episode you're talking about came out in 1999.
Kevin, did you use Bing, Yahoo, or AOL to fact check that?
I mean, if we're going back to the 90s, I used MySpace.
MySpace, please sponsor us. Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. Big shout out to our intern, engineer, guy in the chair, Kevin. He's doing great.
Thank you.
Oh, I thought I muted his mic. Kevin, speak when spoken to. Thank you. So, Leia, I know we did Rugrats this week with Hey Arnold. Overall thoughts?
Yeah. No, again, I love that mental health is being portrayed in these episodes. And again, for child mental health, we've talked a lot about family systems and relationships and how important that is, because they are preventative factors for mood disorders and for longer term intense emotional experiences. Relationships are so important. Feeling a sense of community and connection is very important. And so one of the things that I love about Hey Arnold is in this episode too, is it's showing a lot of the power of Helga feeling an act of kindness, right? And so when we have connection and we have kindness and community, that's a huge predictor for our sense of wellness. And let's attend to that. And I think this episode does that beautifully.
Absolutely. And we want to thank you for being a part of our community and giving us this act of kindness of being on our show and just your friendship in general. Like, you are a fantastic person, and we're so happy and grateful you're here.
Thanks, guys. I feel similarly.
We are the luckiest two people in the room. We'd love to have you back sometime if we ever want to like do another deep dive. And I think we're finding that Nickelodeon is pretty rich in some of these themes. So we'd be honored to have you back sometime.
Well, thank you again for having me, for helping me reconnect with that inner child, enjoying the episodes and kind of doing a deep dive. And I have so much love and respect for y'all, and what a joyful experience. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you again, guys. Remember, if you want to support the show, you can follow us on Patreon, support us there. You can always follow us on the socials, Twitter, Instagram. You can email us at whiskeylodeon.podcast@gmail.com. You can also, if you want to follow Dr. Leia, you can follow her at Warmly Dr. Leia on Instagram. But thank you guys again so much. We can't wait to come back again and to do another episode. So with that, guys, bottoms up.
Bottoms up, baby.
Cheers.
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 Damn it, Kevin! Kevin!